Typically for soil development, we look at three types of sediment: clay, sand, and silt. These are three types of sediment that go into the formation of most soils. They are basically, when we talk about sand, silt, and clay, they refer to sediment size, not chemical composition. Sand, silt, clay refers to a size of a particle, not what it's made of, but a size. Of these three, which would you suspect is the largest of the sediment particles? Sand, silt, or clay? Sand. Sand is the largest because sand varies from 1/16 of a millimeter to 2 millimeters in diameter. In Wisconsin currently, we are seeing a number of oil companies interested in some of our sandstone. It's used for fracking, which is basically fracturing formation where they can extract gas and oil. South of Marshfield, there are a number of operations. We are fortunate in the sense we have sand that is on the small end of that, and they can use it in the fracking industry. So they're mining sand in Wisconsin to an unbelievable degree. I mean, not only in or Marshfield, but on Clare, and then you go to southwestern part of Wisconsin, you see all of these silos of sand being formed. I mean, they sort in silos, they dried off, sort in silos, and then ship it out. I mean, hundreds of rail cars per day are in Wisconsin. Okay, then silt. And again, you probably will never see these again, but to give you a comparison, silt is between 1/256 of a millimeter to 1/16, and everything smaller than 1/256 of a millimeter is clay. So clay is your finest particle. Okay, so that's a breakdown of regolith. That's how we get one type of parent material. Start with the bedrock, you break it down further, and we end up then with sand, silt, and clay. And in your textbook, you will note that they make reference to soil texture. And there's a diagram here in your book, somewhere. Well, hold on. Basically, what they're looking at here are the textures of the particles and basically identifying the soil type. Here we have, you can see clay, sand, and silt. So the question in your book is, the texture of the soil is 50% sand, 40% clay, and 10% silt. What kind of soil is it? 50% sand, 40% clay, and 10% silt. What kind of soil is it? Clay. Okay, we have 40% clay, right? You go up 40% for clay, it's here on that line. 50% for sand, go down to sand, shoot across here, and you should be at 10% silt right there. It's a sandy clay soil. So using a diagram of this nature, soil scientists can make recommendations on how to improve the fertility and agricultural use of the soil. Okay, this is parent material that stays in place. We also have parent material that is transported. And the main means of transport: water, wind, access to folks on the East Coast on both of those, and finally ice in the form of glaciers. So all three of these transport a high percentage of sediments across the face of the earth. We find that materials that are transported by water form frequently deltas, and deltas have become the most productive agricultural regions of the world. The delta of the Nile, the delta of the Tigris-Euphrates, the delta of the Ganges, the delta of the Wang Ho, all of these served as foundations for major civilizations. Without deltaic sediments and soils, civilizations may not have been able to develop as rapidly. Material transported by water is called alluvium. A-L-L-U-V-I-U-M. So whenever we're looking at material that's transported by water, it is alluvium. Again, it's an excellent agricultural soil. Wind material is referred to as loess, L-O-E-S-S. And again, another excellent agricultural material if we have water added to it. And finally, glacial material is either till or drift. Here in the Wausau area, you have combinations of till, drift, and alluvium. The alluvium would be along the Wisconsin River. And on the other place else, you would have glacial materials transported. In Wisconsin, the only place we have parent material from bedrock is southwestern Wisconsin. Every place else, it's transported. Second factor, critical but not quite. Is the climate. There are certain climates that produce crummy soils. Cold climates, for instance, the growing season isn't long enough for organic matter to accumulate. Dry areas, not enough organic matter to begin with. And the hot, wet environment where you have so much decomposition and so much leaching of the soil do not evolve into good soils. So you have three areas of the world where soils are extremely poor and cannot support big populations. Topography. Topography refers to how much slope there is on the land. Is a flatland, soils will develop to a greater degree, greater thickness, greater fertility. If it's on a hillside, mountainside, obviously the sediment keeps washing down, moving down. Thin soils on hillsides, thick soils on valley bottoms. So topography plays a role as well. Said we'd be getting back to humus. The role of humus. Humus does two things. First of all, it acts as a sponge for moisture. It literally acts as a sponge for moisture.
What does that say?
Oh, plant and animal life. Plants and animals. And the main part of this, that's P-L-A-N-T.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, do I bitch and moan about your penmanship?
You can read my penmanship.
Right.
Yes.